Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Higurashi. Did the sound get reset? Hold on. I think it did. Yeah. Let me turn that down a bit for you. Yeah, welcome back to Higurashi. Last time, Teppei is dead. Fairly clean kill, besides Keiichi kind of losing his head a bit. But, you know, I guess that's acceptable when you're bashing someone's brains out. But a pretty unexpected event that I actually didn't think would happen is Satoko actually showed up, I guess, on her way back from the festival through the same route, which made sense, which is kind of funny, like, because I didn't really think of that, but it made sense that she would use the same route to and from her house. And, you know, that definitely could have been a possibility into Toragoroshi, even if Keiichi didn't F up and had to chase Teppei across the forest. So, yeah, I don't know what'll happen. Obviously, Satoko's not gonna be happy about the murder thing. But I don't know what's actually gonna happen out of this, you know? Like, what are we gonna do about it? And yeah. But yeah, let's just see what happens. When I heard her trembling voice, I slowly forced my eyelids open. My meaningless words turned into mindless sounds as they traveled into the darkness between the trees. Satoko gazed at us with huge tear-filled eyes and shivered with her arms around her knees. Just beyond her gaze lay the dark, filthy corpse of her uncle. Uh-oh. Angry Toko. The excitement of the hunt immediately turned cold. Satoko, why did he come to a place like this? Why did he come here? I felt something like anger boiling up inside me as I stood before Satoko with her eyes open wide in bewilderment. All of this was for Satoko, it was all for you. Although that was an undeniable fact, it didn't seem appropriate to say that now. I didn't want her to see this. More than anyone else, I didn't want you to see this, Satoko. So why? Why did she come all the way to a place like this? I mean, like I just said, it's reasonable she would travel the same path. It's interesting because, like, technically we can actually... Because in the Toragoroshi, she kept saying Teppei was alive through her delusions. But now that she's seen him dead, that won't happen. So maybe the syndrome won't level up because of this, maybe? Though maybe the shock of seeing this right now is trying to fuck her up. I don't know. Rena's still chilling. Rena said that in an intimidatingly monotone voice. Oh god. Or this is just Keiichi's perception of them at this moment, maybe. Excuse me. Shion was carefully watching Satoko with the stun gun in hand. I squeezed that question out. Since our current situation left us no room to make excuses, the best course of action to take with Satoko was to stay on the defensive. Avoid providing Satoko with any unnecessary explanations, and don't give her an opportunity to ask questions. You need to get out of here right away, Satoko. You still have a lot of things to take care of. More than anything else, we need to deal with this guy right away. I took one step closer, prompting a response from Satoko. Uh-oh. Satoko took a step back, looking terrified. Shion held a hand out to Satoko. However, Satoko put her hands away and took another step back. What? How? Why would she look for her uncle, though? Force it into her twisted mind. Despite the gentle tone in her voice, I could see the stern look in Rena's eyes. We need to get out of here right away. Rena's eyes clearly signified that. Does she not see the corpse? Even though her voice was trembling, she put all her might into speaking. Satoto was surrounded by an unwelcoming aura. She herself should have understood fully well that she shouldn't be here. The harder Satoto pushed herself, the more pitiful she looked. Nobody wanted to ask why Satoto came here anymore. Satoto's explanation was completely drowned out by that scream. She waved her arms in confusion. She was pushed to her limits by panic and fear. Her emotions were on full display as her face started to twitch. Uh-oh. I mean, true. Murder! Ooh. Satoto repeated that word like a broken toy, continuing to chant it like a ritual incantation. Murder, 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 murder. Satoto's voice echoed inside my ears. Stop it, Satoto. Satoto stared vacantly as her eyes darted back and forth between me, Rena, and Shion, with her lids trembling in fear. I ran over to Satoto and grabbed her arm. Yeah, not a good idea. Satoto thrust my hand away from her body. Though I staggered, I tried to grab a hold of her hand. But, though it was right in front of me, she was flailing so much it was hard to grab. Satoto, you're wrong, you're wrong. I can't tell you now, but I'm sure you'll be able to tell everything. I'll be able to tell you everything in the future. This was all to make you happy. We did this to create our ideal future, to win back our precious everyday happiness. Satoto waved both her arms while running, then stumbled as her feet slipped on a pile of leaves and rolled to the ground. She slowly fell into the pile of leaves and landed on her shin. Satoto's shrieking was deafening. Her screams of terror and despair echoed through me over and over. The sound of her voice made me feel uncomfortable. I was starting to get more and more annoyed. You're free to raise your voice if you want, but if you do that, all our painstaking work up to now will be in vain. Driven by that urge, I impulsively went to smack Satoto. Then, Satoto was screaming her lungs out, but then she suddenly fell to the ground with a thud. The screaming stopped and the forest regained its earlier tranquility. No! Oh no, what if Shion kills Satoto? It's freaking raining, dude. Isn't that more dangerous? And she's a kid, and this stun gun's pimped out. Shion had pressed her stun gun to the back of Satoto's neck. Shion's voice sounded colder than I'd ever heard before. Her eyes looked vacant as she stared down at Satoto. I guess I wasn't the only one feeling unpleasant. Satoto's pathetic scream was still stuck in my ears. I pitied Satoto, but at the same time I felt like Shion's ruthless expression was even more unsettling. I guess we're the ones doing something egregious here, aren't we? Doubts were beginning to rise on the back of my head. Shion, are you guiding us down a path with no turning back? Shion, when you killed Teppei and knocked Satoru out, were you really doing it for Satoru's sake? I was starting to feel dismayed by Shion's cold, dark eyes. Shion went against the plan and brought a stun gun here. I could have handled the murder myself. I thought it would be better for Shion and Rena if they weren't directly involved in killing him. That was for everyone's sake. Nevertheless, Shion ignored my wishes and brought a weapon. What on earth was she thinking? Does she have other plans I don't know about? It was creepy to think that I had an accomplice I knew so little about. Rena's calm voice suddenly brought me back to my senses. I also just realized something. That maybe a flaw in my criticizing the plan. Like the whole thing about like not having Mion so she can't move the body. I don't know like how much that would actually affect this plan, because the body was the body was like buried super far out, so I don't even know if the forestry would hit it. I mean, this is still a forestry, so maybe, but it's like a different location, like a pretty big distance away than in Totodoroshi, so maybe it actually won't affect it. But I don't know. Just thought of that now. Like the sound, by the way. I like that sound. I nodded silently and grabbed Teppei by the shoulders. Rena grabbed one leg and Shion took the other. We carried Teppei. Everyone remained silent the whole time. Hey, what are you thinking? I saw a glance back at Rena. In the darkness, all I could make out was the sweat shining brightly on her face. We've lost a lot of time? I remember the words Rena spoke a moment ago. Why did she think that? Indeed, we lost a little time thanks to Satoru's intrusion, but even so. The biggest task was carrying out the murder itself. I didn't understand why Rena was so concerned about lost time. If her mind and face were telling different stories, then what meaning lay hidden behind Rena's turned vacant expression? Looking back at Shion, her hair was getting damp from sweat constantly running down her back. The two of them didn't seem to notice my gaze, or perhaps they were pretending not to notice. Either way, they didn't look back at me. Hey, everyone, what are you all thinking? Why am I not enjoying this at all? Why are these heavy feelings weighing me down? I should be feeling more cheerful about this. Because we did a good thing, didn't we? We did the right thing. It was all we could do. At least we're all friends, right? Friends who are going to bury an evil man together. And yet, why? Why am I so afraid of being alone? Oh yeah, I guess this is actually a different place than Keiichi. Because Keiichi did the whole like right next to the supposed kill spot. While Shion did it like further up, so... I mean, it doesn't change the fact that I don't know if it'll affect the forestry thing, but... What is this? Fear? Don't make me laugh. What do I have to fear? It's foolish to feel scared now. There's no reason for it. Because I did a good thing, didn't I? Hey, everyone. Isn't that the case? Please tell me that we worked together to create a moment to justice, didn't we? A monument. Thud, Teppei's body dropped down on the fallen leaves. Rena silently pushed Teppei with the tip of her toe and rolled him into the hole. Shion silently tossed a piece of cloth over the hole. Rena was looking directly at me, but she didn't look like she was worried about me. I couldn't understand what they were talking about doing together. I took a deep breath into the bottom of my belly to calm my nerves. The cold oxygen traveled through my whole body. I repeated that several more times, trying to calm myself. Now is not the time to be tired, nor will thinking unnecessary thoughts do any good. I just need to finish the job. There's no way for any of us to escape our mutual ties to this crime. That much was obvious. I felt something mushy below the toes of my sneakers. It felt like I kicked some of Tepe's belongings into the hole. Was that something? It doesn't matter. No sense thinking about it. I don't want to think about what I'm doing right now. I have work to do. Physical labor is mankind's primary role. It's an investment of our time in the pursuit of a noble future. I'm sure that I'm accomplishing something meaningful. Right here, right now. I'm sure of it. Once I finished my display of bravado, I picked up the shovel once again. Rena grabbed the remaining shovels and started walking in the direction of Onidofuchi's swamp without a moment of hesitation. Shion straddled the motorcycle and grabbed the handlebars in a familiar gesture. Then the two of them disappeared off into the distance. Rena and Shion didn't seem to show any stress or excitement. They didn't even seem pessimistic. They simply went on to carry out the tasks as planned them in advance, as we planned them. Their absolutely ruthless composure gave me a small feeling of dread. Although it's not like I'm seeing them off for the last time here, I still had work to do. I started to pile soil on top of the corpse. Fortunately, the dried blood made it harder to make out the shape of Tepe's battered body. I piled the dirt on Tepe's face and open mouth without mercy. I stomped the dirt flat, then piled on some more. Filling the hole was much easier than digging it. The soil was so much softer this time. Don't think about anything, Keiichi Maebara. Just focus on the things right in front of you, right before your eyes. Of course my arms were starting to feel heavy. The intense labor was taking a toll on my arms and my back. The sweat flowing down from my forehead trickled into my mouth, and I wiped it away with my filthy hands. Ugh, the smell of the dirt wafted into my mouth. I suddenly began to wonder if I was getting buried myself. Tepe's body was laying at the bottom of this filthy, bug-infested hole, with his face and body covered in dirt. The bitter dirt in this dark hole of sin will continue to weigh down on my conscience for the rest of my life. Give me a break. I shouldn't let my conscience weigh me down. Tepe is the bad guy here. He had no value in the world of the living. I actually did a good thing, didn't I? I could hear the sound of my breath. Of course, it's so quiet here, because there's nobody else anywhere nearby. Once I finish filling this hole, it'll all be over. Once the corpse is buried. Pat, pat, pat. A lukewarm breeze blew by, and I stopped moving my hand. It seemed like the wind wasn't the only thing causing the trees to move. Someone is there, behind my back. How long have they been there? Who is it? For what purpose? No, honey, we don't have any sweets. Go away. We did not go to the festival. Just rob some stands over there, okay? Pat, pat, pat. I was afraid to turn around. I had a feeling that everything would end the moment I turned around. All the work I had done until now would amount to nothing. Oh, it's just Rena? Hey, they're chilling. When I turned around, I saw Rena and Shion. They had apparently returned without me noticing. Kana. Rena looked exhausted too. Though she was joking, neither of us were in the mood to laugh. Did they just like leave her behind in the bush?
ああ、わかった。だけど、どこへ？
Shion thought about it for a moment, then made a big smile.
任せてください。考えがあるんですけど、後で話します。あいつがいなくなったことで、きっと警察が騒ぎ出すでしょう。ほとぼりが冷めるまでは、そこで聡子を預かります。
大丈夫なんだろうな。
もちろんですよ。
Satoto's unconscious body felt heavy like a corpse as I carried her to Shion's scooter and sat her on the cargo rack. I placed her leaning against Shion's back in the driver's seat and wrapped Satoto's arms around Shion's body, then tied the two of them together with a belt. That way, Satoto wouldn't slip off. Then Shion's scooter traveled down the bumpy road, and a moment later, the two of them disappeared. After seeing Shion off, Rena started walking toward the highway. Since still made it? I mean, that's so true. Almost everyone in the village was participating in the festival. Rena was right, we had to go in order to throw off suspicion. Honestly though, part of me just wanted to fall asleep right here. I dragged my exhausted legs forward and followed behind Rena. Will they? Or will they just think we're tired? Rena gave me a pleasant smile. How is she able to smile like that? Suspicion began to flow into my head, but I quickly forced those dark emotions out and berated myself for even thinking about them. Rena is just doing the best she can, right? So I need to work hard too. It's all for Satoko. To take back our happy everyday life. We're still carrying out the plan, right? I braced myself on Rena's shoulders so that I could drag my heavy legs to the shrine. Nice. Rena was just as exhausted as me, but she used all her strength to make a simple joke. No, maybe she wasn't joking after all? I traveled alongside Rena, who was slightly blushing, while we escaped the gloomy forest. After that, we need to wash away all the mud, sweat, rain, and the dishonor clinging to our entire bodies. So we stopped by at Rena's house to get changed. What is this festival music, dude? This sounds like some action. Action time. It looked like the party was in full swing. The shrine grounds were packed. Also, I think this is a new background for the festival. I don't recognize these stalls. I don't know if any of you do. But like, I don't know. Actually, maybe the octopus stand I do recognize. But it's not popping out like I usually remember. Nothing suspicious, ha ha ha. Mion gave Rena and I a glare that indicated she was sick of waiting. Double squiggly line. Rena playfully stuck her tongue out. Once I saw that, I immediately chimed in. True? Sometimes true? Rena looked at me with a pouty face. Seeing her nonchalantly make such a normal expression made me catch my breath. Rena, is this really you? How can you keep acting so normal right after committing murder? Rena raised her voice to invoke a response out of me, so I set aside my serious expression and did my best to wear a bright smile.
今日のレナも可愛いよ。
かわいい。
Music note. Rena started turning red. Maybe I genuinely cheered her up.
よーし、俺も元気が出てきたぞ。叩き売りでも何でも手伝ってやるぜ。冗談は買ってからにしてくんな。
The old man selling takoyaki laughed graciously. Oh, not this shitter. I turned back after laughing with him, my eyes crossed with Mion, who looked troubled.
あのさ、ケイちゃん、レナ、
なんだ。
その、サトコだけど。
Yeah, she dipped. Mion was hesitating and speaking evasively. Yeah, she probably dipped from the festival. Yeah, she didn't need to say anything. I already understood. In the end, Satoto had headed back home before she even got to the festival. Seeing how dejected Mion looked, I gently gave her a pat on the shoulder.
ミオンのせいじゃないって。
そうだよ。明日から頑張って、サトコちゃんが帰ってこれる方法を考えよう。ね、ビーちゃん。ケイちゃん、レナ。
Mion's expression gradually softened. She looked relieved. Was she expecting us to blame her for not stopping Satoto? Probably. Don't worry, Mion. We'll get it all back. Satoto will be able to smile anytime, anywhere.
ケイちゃん、そろそろ行かなくちゃ。
Bro, what if, I'm still like, what? It would be hilarious if Shion killed Satoto with the stun gun. I think she can, dude. Satoto's really tiny, and it was raining. Actually, I don't even know if... Does the rain matter? Does the rain affect a taser? Okay. Wait, I don't know. Okay, apparently it doesn't actually matter. But she's still tiny, so I think that's the bitter thing.
リカちゃんの演舞が始まっちゃうよ。あっちの方がよく見える。
Plus they did that little thing, I didn't point it out, but where Teichi like described carrying Satoto like she felt like a corpse, which was funny, but I thought it was, you know, self-evident. Or was it? Satoto's unconscious body felt heavy like a corpse as it carried her back to Shin's scooter and sat her on the cargo rack. Yeah, I wonder if that's foreshadowing.
行こう行こう。
おう。
Oh, Mion walked ahead to guide us. We pushed our exhausted bodies as hard as we could, trying to stay in high spirits. We were at the shrine grounds on the night of the Watangashi. We had to look like we were having more fun than anyone else. In order to make that a reality, Renan and I pushed our aching bodies to the limit. Bam, 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 bam. We'll keep going. I'm down for another segment. It's only 28 minutes after all. Even though it's bloody hot in my room right now. It felt like bloody dirt was inside my mouth. A metallic taste was stuck to my tongue. I was lying down on the hard, damp ground right here in a cramped hole. Nightmare, I guess. Choking on the combined smell of sweat, dirt, and blood. The hole wasn't very deep, but I couldn't get out of it. No matter how hard I tried to escape the hole, here I was. Ah, that's it. I'm already dead, so that's where I am. Pain ran down my back, and right after, something hard struck me. It was a bat, a metal bat, Satoshi's bat. No, unless this is Teppei's perspective, but I don't think so. It's probably just a bad dream. A huge hatchet suddenly rose up from behind my head and sliced into my neck. I don't remember much after that. Either way, I'm already dead. I was murdered. In this damp forest. Alone. Help, they're killing me. I could hear someone screaming, a deafening scream. Satoto. What's going on? I have no intention of killing Satoto. After all, I'm already dead. Rena and Xian were watching me, laughing. Both of them were wearing clothes soaked with sweat and covered in dirt, with cold smiles on their faces. Hey, why are you guys making those cold faces? We're friends, right? We did this together because we're friends, right? We're comrades in arms. Please, welcome me with open arms.
ケイチ君、仲間なんかじゃないよ。
No.
いつまで寝ぼけてるのかな?
Rena smiled with her usual adorable expression. We're not friends? What did she mean?
ケイチ君、どうしてそんなことをレナに聞くのかな?
Kana?
質問攻めにして相手の質問を封じ込める気なんですよ。やましいことをしてるなんて口が裂けても言いたくないですからね。
I haven't done anything to feel guilty about. Satoko, I did all this for you, right?
ケイちゃん、もういいんですよ。だってケイちゃんはもう死んでいるんですから。
Xian, Rena, Satoko. Just a bad dream. I suddenly woke up. It was all a dream. At what point did I realize it was a dream? Right from the beginning. Because I'm not dead yet. In fact, I was the one who did the killing. I pictured Satoto's uncle writhing in agony in the dark forest. The reddish-black color of his blood, the gory remains on his face. Awkwardly trying to scurry away, unable to get his pathetic little fingers on anything. And me, putting every ounce of strength in my body into swinging a metal bat. My stomach began to churn as those memories came back to me. Last night felt like so long ago. Still, it was all true. What I experienced yesterday was real. But when I thought back on it, it felt like there was an empty hole in my heart. What are you thinking? Get a grip, Keiichi Maebara. I'm not alone in this. I'm not in this alone. I have friends, don't I? Why do I need to cry about this? I set out on a mission and accomplished it completely, didn't I? I should hold my head high and proud of myself. I accomplished what nobody else could. I saved a helpless girl named Satoko, and it only took a single night. Prompted by my mom's voice, I quickly changed clothes. I regained our ideal future. Starting today, our normal everyday life will resume. This is the usual happy morning, and Rena should be waiting for me in the regular spot. I was in a rush like usual, eating a delicious breakfast like usual, and racing out of the house like usual. The sunshine gently illuminated the school building. I could hear kids shouting in the schoolyard. The peaceful everyday life made its way here too. The gloomy, oppressive atmosphere from the other day felt like a dream, or a tale from a far-off land. Rena wasn't at the meeting place today. Neither was Mion, so I headed into the classroom alone, feeling slightly disappointed that I hadn't regained that piece of my everyday life. I wanted to see Satoko right away. That was the only thing I wanted. Satoko will definitely be at school today, won't she? Satoko, if you're at school today, I'll happily fall victim to one of your traps. I vigorously opened the classroom door, but for better or worse, no eraser fell on my head. Ohio? What? Are we just late? Rena slipped in front of me and started talking to Mion in a surprisingly enthusiastic tone. Rena? Something felt off, like Rena was different from yesterday. Why didn't she come to her regular meeting spot? Was there no particular reason? No particular reason for going on ahead without me? Rena turned back at me and smiled. Maybe she sensed my apprehension. Before I even had a chance to ask her anything, Rena turned back to Mion and smiled. I couldn't understand what Rena was thinking. Is there a chance that Rena is trying to betray me? Or maybe the betrayal has already begun? The events of last night suddenly pricked me in the heart. No way, it can't be. That dream was just a dream, not a prediction or a premonition.
ケイちゃんはちょっとはしゃぎすぎだったよね。おかげで今日はセミの抜け殻って顔してるよ。
はしゃぎすぎはミオンの方だろうが。焼きそば8個も食いやがって。
8 servings? God damn. It's actually it's pretty good, Mion. I raised my tone to better match the two of them. We were hanging out at the shrine grounds. Rena and I were there too, enjoying the festival. That was all a fact. Honestly, I mean, it is a stronger alibi than Keiichi had into Todoroshi, because he was actually there, right? Like, at least you can suspect all you want, even though, like, people covered for Keiichi. Him actually being there is pretty good. Mr. No Octopus Takoyaki? True. Hello. It's been a while since we saw Rika, I feel. That's a good point. Okay, dude. There we go. Little Nipa. What? Come on, Rena. Requesting cover fire. Kana? That ambiguous response was pretty much a rejection. Come on. It was all on my own, with everyone laughing at me non-stop. We spent every free moment of the day sharing exciting stories about the festival. Even though it seemed obligatory to talk about the festival, I wasn't all that interested in going through it in detail. This was the mandatory after-festival event. The follow-up activity that was necessary for the festival to come to an end, so that the events of the day wouldn't need to be repeated anymore. I need to get it all out right here with everyone. Then the events of that night can be laid to rest. And with that out of the way, I can get ready to head home. All the same, I was tired. I wanted to enjoy sharing stories about the evening of the festival from the bottom of my heart, but I just couldn't. Every time I talked about how much fun I had yesterday, I struggled to separate my feelings from my words. By the end of the day, my mind and body were completely exhausted. I'm done talking to people today. Rena might feel the same way. Fortunately, Mion and Rika-chan were on duty today, so I tried leaving the classroom with Rena. Mion waved at us while wiping the blackboard. Bye bye.
日直なんて頑張るほどのことでもないだろ
へえ、ケイちゃんは日直頑張らなくても大丈夫なんだ。おじさんにはそんなの絶対無理だな。嫌でしょうがないもんね。というわけで、よかったらおじさんと日直交代しない？
冗談じゃねえぞ。そういえばレナ、 日直得意じゃなかったっけってことで、じゃあな。
I'm glad duty stuff wasn't part of the education in Canada. I know that's a Japanese thing, assigning people to do chores around the classroom. I don't think that was a thing in like high school. Definitely not high school. Probably not elementary school.
あ、ケイチ君待ってよ。それにレナ、日直なんて全然得意じゃないし。
How? I shuffled out of the classroom in a hurry, with Rena following behind. I could still hear Mion's boisterous laughter all the way in the hallway.
ケイチ、
Oh, sneaky Rita. Right as I stepped into the schoolyard, Rita-chan caught up with me and came over with a journal in hand. She seemed less energetic than usual. Her shoulders were slightly drooped.
リカちゃん、どうしたのかな。
Rena was walking beside me and called out to her in a considerate tone, however. Rita-chan kept her eyes pointed toward the ground, gazing at the dirt around the schoolyard, and staring some more.
リカちゃん、
Rita-chan raised her head. Her eyes were red and swollen. I realized that Rita-chan must have been crying alone somewhere.
リカちゃ
Oh
ん、
no.
どうしたんだよ。何かあったのか。
大丈夫です。転ん
Wait.
だだけです。
What the heck?
ほら、
Rita-chan held out both her hands. Both of her palms were covered in dirt. What, is this Mion Shion? Because this is usually the part where Shion pushes Rita pretending to be Mion. But how would that make sense?
大丈夫かな。一緒に保健室に行こうか。
Rita-chan vigorously shook her head. Then she reached out and grabbed my wrist. Oh, is she gonna ask, did he do something bad on the Watanabe?
リカちゃん、
Maybe.
大丈夫なのです。僕は大丈夫なのです。
Because if Rita knows this pattern too, she might assume that Keiichi snuck into the storehouse. But, you know, it's already the Teppei route, so I don't know. Rita-chan's voice seemed to fade out as she said that, but regardless of what she said, she didn't look okay.
でも、
リカちゃん、大丈夫そうに見えないな。
僕のことはいいのです。それよりも、ケイチとレナに聞きたいことがあるのです。
聞きたいこと。
Rita squeezed my wrist with tremendous strength. At first I thought she grabbed my wrist because she wanted help, that she wanted me to understand the pain she felt when she fell, and wanted me to bring her to the nurse's office. But that's not right. The incredible power clinging to my wrist was far too strong for a weak girl crying about falling down. That's when I realized she grabbed my wrist because she didn't want me to run from the question she was about to ask. Unless she like knows that this, it'd be unusual if this sometimes happened though, because Shion liking Satoto is like a newer development, right? After, well, obviously this was written before Go, but I assumed he had the idea beforehand. But you know, the idea how constantly looping causes people close to the looper to remember stuff, like we can assume that Shion starts to like Satoto because she remembers Satoshi's promise, right? So this can't be like an older arc. I guess this could be I guess it is just an in-between arc. But what I was getting at is Rika wouldn't know this pattern because it shouldn't happen often if this is like a more recent development with Shion liking Satoto. Anyways, a sharp light radiated from Rita's eyes directly into my own.
僕はただ知りたい。夕べのこと。
Uh-oh, we did something weird. Rita-chan stared at me with a vacant look in her eyes. Hanyu told them. Hanyu, you snitch. This is what we get for not paying her off with a jumbo cream puff. There's no strength in her eyes. Like the eyes of a corpse, the motionless look on her face was unbearable. In fact, it made me anxious. She was asking about the festival last night, right? Right? Why is she making that face while asking about last night?
何のことだ
I immediately looked away from Rita-chan.
リカちゃん、何を知りたいのかなかな
Rena stout-heartedly stared back at Rita-chan, but I could see a hint of anxiety in her complexion.
ケイチ、レナ、サトコはどこへ行ったのか知りませんか
She has disappeared. My breath came to a halt. I stole a quick glance back at Rita-chan's face. Her expression remained unchanged. She was still staring at me with her eyes open wide. Her mystical gaze gently surrounded me, and her eyes looked ominous.
教えてほしいのです。サトコはどこへ行ったのですか
Rita-chan repeated her question. She seemed convinced that we knew the answer. I couldn't even look at Rita-chan.
ケイチ、お祭りの晩に何かあったのですか
My body began to tremble, and my wrists was certainly trembling too. Rita-chan must have been able to feel those vibrations.
例えば、悪いことをしたとか
My legs were about to collapse from the fear. If Rita-chan knows everything, what can we do about it?
レナはどうですか
Rita-chan slowly turned toward Rena.
知らないよ。レナはずっとお祭りにいたし
We were late.
ですか
Technically, we went straight to the festival, but Rena had to go back home because she forgot something. Just say something like that.
本当にずっとお祭りにいたのですかサトコはお祭りにずっと来
Whoa.
ませんでした
Sorry. My heart was ringing like a fire alarm. Why is Rita-chan asking about this so persistently? Maybe it's because it's freaking weird. Because it's not part of the pattern she's used to. So persistent. Too persistent. Does Rita-chan already know about what happened last night? Could she have heard Satoko's screams? If she knew that much, just how much more did Rita-chan know?
レナ答えてください
Rena reflexively took a step back. I couldn't do anything. She still had a tight grip on my wrist. Come on, Keiichi, use your strength. She's like 10 years old. Or at least her body's like 10.
ケイチ
I wasn't sure how to answer. Rena was staring Rita-chan right in the eyes. Rita-chan turned her innocent eyes back and forth between me and Rena, and eventually let out a sigh.
そうですか知らないのなら仕方ないのですごめんね力になれなくて
Good. We blocked her. Feeling relieved, I started to breathe again. Then, Rita-chan released her grips on my wrist and began to speak in a somber tone. Sorry.
サトコがいないのですよ昨べも今朝も北条の家を見てみたのですがとても静かなのです家の中には誰もいないみたいなのです
Rena and I couldn't find the words to respond to that.
ごめんなさいなのです圭一の手に土がついちゃったのです
So much nano dust.
ああいいよ土なんて洗えば落ちるんだし
土は昨べも
Oh
圭一の
God.
手についたですか
She's still trying to dig up some answer.
きちんと洗ってくださいなのです圭一とレナがサトコのことなんて知るわけなかったのですごめんなさいなのですニパー
That was not a healthy Nipa. Rita-chan gave us her usual smile, then quickly ran toward the school building. I quickly turned and started walking in the opposite direction without waiting to see her off. I single-mindedly walked through the school gate at a brisk pace. Rena silently followed behind me. Rena and I never turned back, so we had no idea if Rita-chan was looking at us. That went well. Little spooky, but it went well. Renan and I were walking side by side. Our conversation fell apart, and then we spoke up again, as if we remembered something, only for the conversation to fall apart again. We exchanged a few words on the variety of topics as we carefully avoided one particular topic, and eventually our conversation really did fall apart. Oops. We've been walking in silence for a while now. Eventually, we arrived at the point where the path splits towards Rena's house.
ねえ、ケイチ君。ちょっと心配だよね。
That was the very thing I wanted to say since I left the school gates.
心配って何が？
I deliberately asked her to say more. It was probably what happened with Rita-chan earlier. Rita-chan knows something, doesn't she? This is far too serious a matter to simply ignore.
さとこちゃんだよ。
I'm worried too. I still think it might be a nice meme death if Shien's taser just killed her.
さとこ？
That's my bet. I already threw my chips in for that. If she doesn't, then it's... I mean, it's still open. Like, what are we gonna do? How is Shion gonna convince Satoko not to, like, freak out about it? It's pretty hard. Obviously, if she got her shot, it would be good, but Shion wouldn't know how to do that, so... It's rough either way. Since my mind has been entirely geared on doing something if Rita-chan knew anything, Rena's response threw me off a little. Satoko? Come to think of it, Rita-chan didn't seem to know about Satoko's whereabouts. If she knew, she wouldn't be so persistent in asking about it, with that sad look on her face.
北条家に誰もいないのってやっぱり不自然だと思う。
Rena repeated that.
そのうち村の誰かが気づくかもしれない。あの家には誰もいないって。鉄平はともかく、さとこちゃんまでいないって分かったら大変なことになると思う。
True? Indeed, we might be in trouble if people go searching for Satoko.
シオンに電話してみるよ。
それよりしーちゃんに会ってみようよ。
That's probably true.
昨日別れてからのこと、レナも気になってるし。
それもそうだな。
We decided it would be best to meet at the same place in Okonomiya. Well, I guess we'll find out if she's dead or not now. I flopped down once I returned to my room. I didn't feel like watching TV or reading books. Oh, flashback. We traveled to Angel Mort to see Shion, but she wasn't there. Apparently she was off today. I left a message asking her to call, then Ren and I went home, but I still haven't gotten a call. Well, that doesn't exactly help calm my thoughts. It was around 9 p.m. I tried calling Shion a little while ago, but she wasn't there. I left a message on her answering machine asking her to give me a call, but I was still waiting for a response. Shion, it would be nice if you called to let us know you got everything done safely last night. I wonder what she was doing while we were working on our bodies in a frenzy at the festival. In the end, Shion never came to the festival, even though we promised to corroborate each other's alibis by hanging out at the festival. The plan was falling apart thanks to the inclusion of the uncertain factor that was Satoko. I couldn't sit still, so I paced back and forth in the living room, constantly staring at the phone that never rang, going to the bathroom, getting a drink of water.
ケイチ、どうしたの？
Stressing her out. Mom called called out to me in a concerned voice. No, it's nothing. So I dejectedly headed back to my room. What if something happened to Shion? Insecurity quickly played my mind. Maybe something prevented her from making contact. Like what? The curse of Oyashiro-sama. Moron, why would that curse target Shion? I scornfully laughed it off as a ridiculous idea. Still, I couldn't help but think about the curse. On the night of the Watanashi, one person dies and one person goes missing. Satoko's uncle died. He was the victim this year. The 5th year's curse fell on Teppei Hojo, Satoko's uncle. But then, who went missing this year? Uh-oh. The sound of the phone made me jump. Oh, she's chilling. As soon as I heard that voice, I felt relief from the bottom of my heart. All strength quickly released from my body. She was alive. Shion was safe.
どうしたじゃないぜ。あの後どうなったかと思ってたんだぜ。電話くらいしろよな。
Shion was safe. My mind was getting lighter and lighter from the joy that fact brought me. I was so incredibly relieved. It was absurd to imagine the curse had taken Shion. I guess I was wrong to think something was wrong after all.
すみません。心配かけちゃいましたね。
ああ、思いっきり心配したぜ。それより、昨夜は無事に帰れたのか？俺たちはあの後ちゃんと祭りに行ったけど、シオンは大丈夫だったのか？
ええ、問題なしです。
それで、サトコはどうした？どこにかくまったんだ？
それなんですけど。
Uh-oh. I felt a tense atmosphere suddenly pouring out of the handset.
何かあったのか？
Okay, well, I assume she's not dead. So that's a relief. If she's not saying that right away, and she seems kind of fine. Yeah. Also, the police. We know the police have been watching his house, so even if they missed the act, they note his disappearance. Or this. They were already aware of all that? I thought back on the dark forest where I buried Satoko's uncle. Sketchy? That's kind of sketchy. Where would she be hiding her? Maybe in the Sonozaki basement, since no one really goes down there. Hide her in the lion's den, since like every other Sonozaki hates her. Shion stubbornly refused to tell me where Satoko was hiding. I was beginning to feel suspicious of Shion. Yeah, this is weird. As soon as I heard that, it felt like being splashed with cold water. I shrank in on myself and began to shiver. The investigation was already underway? That was incredibly fast. But why? Shouldn't they only launch a major investigation after he's been missing a few days? So why? No way. Could someone have witnessed something last night? Or maybe. I carefully listened to the other end of the receiver. Shion remained silent, waiting for me to say something. The word betrayal crossed my mind. But who? Could it be? Did something bad happen last night? It's not Rika. I recall that Rika-chan asked me after school. When she gently grabbed me by the wrist, it felt like the dirt was still there. It was terrifying.
ケイちゃん、黙り込んじゃって大丈夫ですか？
シオン、明日会えるか？
I heard her gasp on the other end of the phone.
シオン、何か都合が悪いのか？
別に大丈夫です。
じゃあ、起き
Why'd
て
she
みよ
gasp?
う。レナも一緒に行くから。
レナさんもですか？わかりました。じゃあ明日。
She is kind of being really sussy right now. Then I set the receiver down and hung up the phone. My heart was throbbing for some reason. I shouldn't let things come between Shiana and I, but it definitely made me feel anxious. There was nothing to be afraid of, but I couldn't shake a bad feeling about it. It was alright. Once I meet Shion tomorrow, I can clear up all the things I'm imagining. Hopefully. All my doubts will be eliminated once Shion tells me where Satoko is hidden. I hopped into my futon, wanting tomorrow to arrive as soon as possible. But I was still so anxious that I could hardly manage to sleep. That's a chapter break. And we'll end here. It was a good sesh. It's been a while since we did like a longer sesh, so feels good. You know, we got Sussy Shion and the Satoko factor. But yeah, we'll see. At least I don't think Satoko's dead right now, so that's a relief. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Higurashi, and I will see you next time with some more, whatever this arc is called. See you then. Peace.